Hey, what's going on, guys? Shane here, and we're bringing fightTIPS back on the road. So we're down here in beautiful San Diego to visit the WeckLab. Of course, David Weck I met about a year ago, and he literally retaught me how to run. Completely changed up my running technique, and I'm now able to run faster, longer, less pressure on my joints, uphill and downhill, and I really have this newfound love for running again. But I'm here today to team up with him and the rest of his team. Got Chris Chamberlin today, going to be showing me a little bit more of, human locomotion principles and exercises, ways that we can jump higher, run faster, and just be more mobile. And these guys teach some really high level stuff, and it can be hard to grasp at first, but once you do, you really feel like you have an advantage over the competition. And they've worked with the highest level of athletes. Jordan Burroughs, of course, freestyle Olympic gold medalist, two-time UFC champion Dominic Cruz, and tons of other professional athletes. So we're gonna go try to get some of these secret methods and exercises, and I'll share them with you. And if you have any questions about what you see, feel free to drop them in the comments below, and I'll try to explain it to you guys. But until then, let's go check it out.
Beautiful. Back and forth, and we're gonna rock that pulse, okay? Alright, perfect. Just gonna pull it one up. So now we get to time up the step, pulse. Excellent. This is good. Alright, we'll walk it back. You're just resisting it. Boom! Dude, can I write that down one sec? We're going to talk about these three different variations of movement we do. We focus specifically here at the lab on coiling, which is going to be this sort of like maximum range side bend. So we're going to learn how to educate this side bend. We're going to use that information. We're going to bring it into this, what we call rotational movement, which is going to be the side-to-side movement. We're going to be exploring that with the pulsers. We're going to use that in sort of a running style to start things out. We're going to learn how to manipulate that, and then we're going to use it just in that coil to that same side sort of posture. And then once you have that, we'll kind of maybe explore some fight stuff. We'll get into that work and see how this stuff carries over between the two. Got it? Mine too. All right, so we're gonna start with the same. We call it the Royal Coil. I like to I'm gonna face this way, sort of coach you like leader of classroom here a little bit. You'll just mimic my movement. Okay. We're gonna take the hands overhead. You're gonna take a big step forward with your right foot. When you do that, you're gonna feel like all of your weight shift into this right side. Okay, so this is what we refer to as being like head over foot. Once you're here, you're gonna sink down slightly. You're gonna take the left foot, you're gonna pass it across. All right, all that weight, you're gonna double check, is still forward. We're gonna make sure the back of the head is directly over the front leg. We're gonna pull the right elbow down towards the back pocket. We're gonna create this blade in the arm. So the elbows are sort of reaching away from each other. This is gonna feel very much like we're like weaponized, like we're like this human spear here. You're feeling this light contraction in the lower lat right now, yes? Okay. What I want you to do is you're gonna draw those elbows apart as hard as you can. You're gonna drop that right shoulder down really aggressively. That right hip is reaching up and across. We're gonna be getting this really big contraction here in that right side body. We're gonna hold this for about 10 seconds, all right? And you're just, throughout that 10 seconds, so this like isometric hold, you're going through that checklist. Where's my head? Where are my eyes? They're always on the target. You're a fighter, you gotta keep your eyes on your target, right? You don't wanna lose sight of the task. Excellent. Now when we come out of this, we're always gonna like come out and we're gonna express that coil. So the body, while we can manipulate that side bend, it's pretty aggressive at first, so we wanna make sure we're really releasing it as well. Yeah, okay? Cool. Now we're gonna do the other side. So facing me, we're gonna take the hands directly overhead. So I like to start so I can come down on it. You're gonna step the left foot forward. All of the weight is gonna shift to that left side. You're gonna notice that head is automatically gonna transfer that way, right? That's sort of setting up our posture. The right foot's gonna come across, it floats, so it's feathered. You're gonna take the left elbow and draw it down towards that back pocket. Beautiful. Again, elbows are spreading, so you're feeling like this is a blade. We call that the blade, that weapon, right? We're drawing that apart. It's removing the slack from the system when we do that, okay? Yep. We're feeling that left lat aggressively right now. We're just gonna keep running through those postures as we hold this for 10 seconds. Where's my head? Is all my weight forward? Am I putting some of it back? I'm not, right? We're keeping everything forward. The shoulder's down, the hip is up and across. Perfect, brother. When you're ready, you're gonna sink down, you're gonna express that bad boy. Awesome. Okay, so anytime we start a WeckMethod session, we're going to start practicing these principles. We need to do something that educates that end range or that side body, okay? Because now we get to take that information, we're going to send it from side to side, all right? So let's grab some pulsers. I think I got a pair here. Yep. Outside of the method itself, this is sort of what drew us here today. It's the sort of practices. We're working on a lot of how we can develop these and make them work for fighting, right? And you're the guy with the fightTIPS. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna learn how to wield the tool. So just like with any other tool, we talked about this before too, is tools, when not wielded correctly, don't pose the best results. So we're gonna learn how to wield the tool. We're gonna go through a couple of just sort of beginner steps to do that. Once you've mastered the tool, you feel like you have it, then we can start manipulating it to our will and taking advantage of it, okay? So first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna establish sort of this grip with it, right? So when we have a grip, we do this okay sign right at the top of it. This is going to help us for our running technique mostly, and we'll manipulate it in different ways, maybe for some different styles of stuff in the fight. Okay, so we have this nice cockback wrist, boom. What we're going to do is we're going to draw this up to the center chest. Okay, we're going to do a move we call the press pop first. Okay, so it's going to look a lot like a push-up or like a chest press or something like that, but it's going to be loaded at the center chest here. Elbows are flared out to the side. I'm going to go ahead and softly bend my knees and flick my heels out. Okay, from that position, okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna drive the elbows in as I extend the arms out. We can sort of go slow motion here first. Boom, it's gonna hit sort of this end range. In that end range, you're gonna notice the elbow's not locking out, right? It's staying sort of bent because I'm so twined up. Okay, that's gonna hit, it's gonna give me a recoil back to that center chest, and then I'm gonna flat back out, and I'm gonna get the super powerful pulse out as I do this. Nice, dude, cool. So you feel that recoil, you'll feel that the shifting weight within it sort of sends us back to our beginning posture. Yep. And then we're even able to transition that sort of like athletic transitioning through the core as well. Beautiful. Money, brother. Beautiful. Cool, right. Usually I sort of have a rule when I'm teaching skills and things like that, and maybe it's something you could adopt or maybe you already even do, but I go by sort of the 8 count rule, almost like with musicality and stuff like that. Okay, 8, it's rhythm. People fall in line to 8 very well, and it's really helpful with skill development as well. If I can accomplish 8 of something, it's pretty dope. Alright, so we've established how to use the shifting weight within this. We're going to keep kind of honing it down and try to bring it closer and closer to like a locomotive aspect. So we're here, we're right at that center chest like we just were, right? We're going to take a hip hinge. We're going to still make sure those heels are nice and wide, so we like that little pigeon toe of the feet, right? I'm going to take a big breath in. As I do it, I'm going to draw the pulsers up to my armpit. I'm going to do that same flapping action, so everything's going to steer in. It's going to hit that pulse at the bottom. That's going to recoil back to my center chest, and then I'm going to reset. Okay, so here I take a big breath in, I hit, I reset. Let's go again. And you'll hear it's like a little different sounding than maybe the first move, right? Your job is to coordinate it and get everything to line up and sound just like that first move we did, okay? So we've added complexity. There it is, that's better. Yes, okay? Again, that's another, we were talking about this, it creates event and it creates audible and like dynamic feedback so that we can fix ourselves. We don't even need coach there with us if I know what it's supposed to do, right? So super helpful with that. So we've established that, we learned how to get like on top of our pulse. We're now gonna start bringing, again, closer and closer to this running idea. So, do something called a pop rock. We call this the hamburger, right? I love this. So we cock the wrist back like this, and if you literally hold the pulsers like you're holding a hamburger, you're gonna eat it. You're always gonna keep your, it's funny, I know. You're gonna keep your wrists sort of cocked back at all times. So we don't hold a hamburger with the wrists resolved like that, right? So, got the wrist cocked back. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna park the pulsers right down at the hips. The elbows are gonna flare out wide. I'm gonna get like a tall athletic ready. Okay, so nice and tall and athletic ready. I'm gonna start rocking the pulse. So one elbow is gonna go up high. I'm gonna hit down at the center, maintaining that hamburger hand, and then pop up to the other side. So boom, back and forth, and we're gonna rock that pulse, okay? All right, perfect. So now we're applying all of the techniques we just did, and we're doing it at different portions at different times of the movement, which is going to really play into this idea of walking or running. Okay, perfect. Like I said, 8's usually enough. Yeah, 8's enough, right? Especially when it's that good. We're going to line up at the end of the room here. We're going to set up in the same exact posture you just did, but this time we're going to throw a right foot in front. It's where we're really going to start adding the timing of each step to the pulse at the same time. So we're going to walk it. I'm going to set up, I'm going to start my pulse, my pop rock, and then what's going to happen is when I hit the right, I'm going to step left, right, left, right, left, and we'll sort of walk down. We'll sort of just walk ourselves back nice and comfortable, and we'll repeat this with a little more speed. Okay, so take your time to get some pulses going here. Find that rhythm, find that pulse. When the right elbow's up, hit and go, boom, boom. So now we get to time up the step with the pulse. Excellent, beautiful, dude. All right, we'll walk it back. We're gonna do the, on this walk, we can walk back. So when we walk it back this time, let's think about that side bend a little more. All right, so this is what I was telling you. Everything, when we start adding tools, we start adding complexity to stuff, I don't ever want to lose foundation. Okay, foundation was, I should be trying to tap more range on the side. So when I hit that, I'm hit. Left side bend, express, right side bend, express. Okay, here we go. Yeah, boom. Boom, 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 side. And what you'll see when you focus on the side bend, okay, if we were to look back at a video of this, you get more of that, boom, that full commit, that full weight shift, which is road work for our running, right? Yep. Fighters in the road work, but also weight transferring for fighters, right? Like that's why we do our road work, right? You need to know how to manipulate that weight shift. Yep. Awesome. So let's go back in there. We're actually just going to add speed to it now. So now I sort of want you to scoot across the room. If you feel good, you can let go of your hamburger now. You can sort of open up your hands and sort of let your arms fall into their natural cycle as of now. And all you're trying to do is just maintain that same audible and dynamic feedback from the pulse. You just don't lose it, right? And now you put the arms in a more advantageous position. Okay? That's it. Open up. Yeah, brother. That's it. We'll bring it right back. Yeah. Yeah, so don't have a lot of running room in here, but you got it, right? Feel the benefit. Yeah. So we're talking about sides, educate the ability to move between the sides. So you just are now a master of moving between the sides as of today, right? What we do now is we're going to manipulate that understanding of the sides, and we're going to move without transition. Okay, so this presents itself as a unique technique that we've come up with that we refer to as same-side stride. And this is super helpful at removing vertical displacement. It's super helpful at going down hills. It's super helpful for balance and just coordination, okay? This is stuff that happens when you're carrying heavy loads a lot of the time. You'll sit in this posture, okay? The move without move is what I would call it, all right? So what we're going to do, we're going to kind of set up the same way that we just did. We're going to play around with now just locking into one side. So if I'm in the center here, I'm going to step that leg back like we were. I'm going to pull the pulsers up to my right side here. Okay, we're just going to establish a stationary pulse first. So we're here. We're going to have our hamburger hand. I think that's helpful at first. And we're just going to pulse, and we're going to keep this right arm very linear. Okay, so it's going to stay in a straight line. If there's a camera in front of us, it would not see me like cock out either direction or anything. Okay, so we're going to sit here. We're going to pulse. We'll take our hamburger hand. We're keeping all the load forward on that right side. And your eyes are going to stay on a fixed point, and we're trying to remove that up-down feeling. So drawing all that energy into the side bend. And into that lat, if you can, specifically. So if you're feeling like the ab or the oblique more, pull your shoulder back. Get like Superman chest a little bit. There you go. Good. Okay? Feels good. Let's try the other side. So we'll educate both sides real quick, and then we're going to try to move with it. We're locking into one side. Really try to stick that left pec through, and then lean forward a little more. Watch. Feel how that's going to tap you to that lat a little more? Yeah. Yeah. And we have like this more athletic posture. Yeah. Okay, that's what we're trying to go for here. Yeah, brother. Nice. Again, remove that up down. You look great. Awesome. Cool. All right, we'll go back to the right side. We're going to set up the same way. If you need to start sort of the pulse first, you can, or you can load it up. And when you hit that first pulse, boom. Oh, sorry, it's going to be that. Boom, we're going to stay on that side, and we're going to move across the room. Okay, so we're keeping that head over that side. We're keeping all that intent in that side body, trying to live in that right lat. Okay, here we go. Yep. Hit and go. Hit and go. Hit and go. Yeah. Perfect, brother. And this is going to give that ability to remove vertical displacement, run down a hill smoothly without all that extra bounce and all putting on the brakes constantly, right? We're slowly bringing ourselves down. Okay.
One thing that David said earlier that I really liked was baseball players.
Yeah.
They're able to keep a steady eye, running and watching the ball without their head constantly moving. Now the ball is moving, right? So keeping that pressure on one side, that balance while passing the ball,
100%.
flashing across the field.
Yeah, dude, you got to track something. You need to be able to keep your eyes on it, right? Yeah, absolutely.
It's been like a problem in baseball stands. It's like the beginning of time. Like it's so cool to kind of pin a name to a pin something.
Yeah.
And it relates to every sport.
Yeah.
I was watching I get a lot of, on my feed now on Instagram, a lot of javelin throwers.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like running on that same side, and so they can stay focused and they're loaded, and then at point of release, they cycle over because they don't need to be focused on the target anymore, right? It's the release, right? So.
And I think about my dog too. When he sees a squirrel and he wants to go after the squirrel, his body's moving, but the head is completely still.
Yeah.
Tracking that thing.
Sure, man. Cool. All right, let's try the other side. Of course, yeah, got to do both sides, right? So again, you can sort of set a pulse if you want. You could try to go on the first pulse if you want to try, right? That hit and go. Yes. Nice. Yeah, so because we know the hands like that, we actually remove the first step. So a lot of like athletic development stuff, skills like that, they talk about the actual first step as the first step. That seems to make sense, right? But a WeckMethod first step is actually the pulse. Because I've just loaded the ground and I'm gone. I've stepped to that step, right? That was our first step. So we use that, you mentioned like baseball and outfield and stuff like that, but we use that same technique, that same side, and we use it laterally to remove the drop step like in a base steal and stuff like that too. So it's really helpful in like getting you gone and moving, and then the body. So I said, we're sort of just like trying to unlock something that's already there and understand it a little better. And if I can think about what I need to be stuck in core-wise, core function-wise, it's sort of like the body knows what to do next. So the gait cycle and all that like just picks up the cycle and takes us off. And it allows us to do unique things, right? Allows us to take advantage of opportunities, right? Cool. Awesome. So you're already running with these. You've learned how we sort of manipulate it sort of in the side to side, the RMT environment. You learned it in the coiled environment, that unique opportunity of expressing it. We're also going to play around it in like a bilateral environment. Okay, because we have to be able to educate somebody on how we are moving in the center too. Like we like the big lifts here at WeckMethod. I like deadlift, I like squat, and I think you told me you do a little weight training still too. And I want you to be able to take that information and I want it to carry over right into your fighting. I don't want them to feel like separate events. They should feel like one event. Okay? So we're going to explore how locomotion is driven just with a jump and using not a specific side bend, but using the lats to sort of drive jumping, which kind of turns into a bunny hop or any kind of jumping, broad jump, stuff like that. So we're going to use the skill we used right at the beginning, which was that hinge pulse, right? So we had the pulses right at the center chest. We're actually going to stay a little taller now. We're going to draw the pulsers towards the pits. We're going to pulse down aggressively, and we're going to sort of like float up a little bit as we hit that pulse, okay? So it's and it sort of carries me up, okay? So draw in, pop up. Yeah, cool. So you've even added that element of like hitting on the way back down. It's going to help you time up and absorb the landing. I love that you just naturally pick that up. So we can do that 100%, okay? So for this piece. So it's draw in, pop. Use that pulse to really get you up. Use it to help you assist the land. Beautiful. Cool. Now, looks good. Okay, we're not even going to do 8 of these. We're going to play around with bunny hops now. So instead of that return and feeling like, whew, I caught myself, I'm going to stay put on the ground, I want you to recognize that when you chop back down, it allowed you to sort of just go, oh, I'm going to reset and do another rep. We're going to do something that's repetitive now, and it's cyclical. So when you hit that top float, instead of coming back the way you came, you're going to circle around and get on top of the pulse again. And as you meet the ground, instead of loading to receive the ground, you're going to load to leave the ground again, okay? So if I'm here, I'm up, it's a pulse, 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 and it's cyclical, and I'm riding that, and it's gonna, we'll do it in place for about 4 reps, it's gonna naturally sort of lend you to travel. And just little bunny hops in a way. And I want as much power behind the pulse as possible and as much free sort of like ride forward as possible. Because of that, the harder your hands work, the easier you travel, okay? Here we go. It's cyclical now, we're floating. Yep. Now when it's in the air, yeah, it circles. And like I said, it's naturally gonna sort of lend you to moving, right? Ooh, to get you to get the elbows behind you to send that pulse and keep moving you forward. Okay? Awesome. Okay, so that's that idea of, again, not receiving the ground, but now leaving the ground constantly. So that has a nice relationship. That's what's happening every time we run. Every time that foot hits the ground, we're trying to keep leaving the ground, right? I'm not catching the ground. We're also going to catch the ground, because if we can learn something, it means there's another side to it. We should be able to manipulate that as well with the same concepts and techniques. So, like you did on the first one, you sort of did like a nice little easy reception of the ground where you came back down. We're going to be more aggressive about it, and we're going to load into like a deep squat. So this time it's up. Uh-oh. Hey guys, sound. Yeah. We're gonna absorb really low into a deep squat, get those elbows nice and high, right? And then pop back up out of that bottom position. Boom. Really load and accept and receive the ground fully. Yep.
And then come back.
And then it's just back and forth just the same way, right? Boom. Yep. Boom. Boom. Yep. Yes, brother. Dude, perfect. Cool. So again, being able to manipulate, use a step to advantage. Now I'm going to throw one at you we haven't actually played around with yet. Okay. Because we're going to kind of play. We know the principles now a little bit. Yeah. We have side, side, center, alternate. Yep. We're going to move this to the side. We're going to try a split jump. Okay. And we're not going to leave the side bend. Okay. So we're going to stay coiled. So if I pull this off to the back, we're going to do this in a lunge first, so you sort of learn it. Pulsers are here. I'm going to chop down into a lunge. I'm going to pulse up out of the lunge. Chop into the lunge, pulse up out of the lunge. Okay? Go a couple more. So you see how you can use the pulse to load the lunge, or the reverse lunge. Okay. Yep, and then use it to send you up and out. Perfect. Okay? Yeah, go some more. Yeah, you just, once you get the timing, you hear it and feel it, it's it. There's no question. There it is. Cool.
Pulse brings you up.
Yeah. So if we're patient and we use that athletic patience and tap into that core, we get more for less, right? Now, we've got that. Let's manipulate it, add some power to it. So we'll stay on that side for this since you're good at it right now. We'll do the other side in a second. Okay. So now what's going to happen is I'm going to load up. But the key is in the air. We're going to get into this probably in a minute too, but we're going to talk about kicking a little bit. But in the air, I'm going to stay balanced in that side bend while I'm aerial, okay? And you'll land in the side bend again, okay? It's the same move. You're just going to now pop off the ground, okay? Float. Yep, and I want you to feel how you live in that side bend when you're in the air. Yep. Keep your eyes on the point. Yep. Beautiful, brother. Boom. Get that tiny catch. There it is. Good. Yeah, good. Still works. Good. All right. We'll try the other side. We'll do a couple lunges. We'll try a couple pops. Yes. Now see how the hands crossed as you came up? So you went up and they crossed over. Try to keep them off to this same side, okay? We don't want the body to cycle. See how that keeps your weight over there? Keeps it nice and cozy. You got it. Nice. Get the eyes level. There it is. That'll funnel everything into the core and keep it moving forward, right?
That left track.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right, when you're ready, just add that extra pop to it. Pop, catch, pop, catch. Yes, yes. Load, explode. Load, explode. Perfect, brother. Beautiful. Whew. Take that. Yeah, cool. But again, manipulating the principles. We can take the same information, we can put it on the side. Now we can do like an alternating version of the RMT, right? Which we're not going to play with. Okay. But, right? Yeah. Cool. Beautiful. So I think you've pretty much mastered this bad boy now. Yeah, right? Mastered. Yeah, seriously. Let's explore some fight stuff a little bit. I mean, that's what we're here for, right? Now, I know we had kind of had some concepts of how we were holding it, and I know we've talked a little bit previously, and you sort of maybe have changed that a little bit. And I'd like to see kind of how you're holding these to fight. So.
Well, I love what you guys call the pain can hold. Okay. With middle finger on top.
Yep.
Outside fingers are holding it in place, and then thumbs just kind of rest. What I really like about this is I naturally keep my hands in a bent position. I keep open hands in my glove, and I hang out right here. The reason why I teach this is because when you when you point at someone, you're naturally going to get that curve in your wrist, and that you're going to be most accurate when you point at something, right? You're never going to point like this at someone. It's almost impossible to do, right?
Sure.
So what this does, what paint can does, is it forces you to get that bent wrist, which is what we want when we throw a punch.
Sure.
Ultimate accuracy, ultimate reinforcement of the wrist, maximum impact. So that's what I really like about the paint can hold. But also I like that you can incorporate it with kicks, knees, and defense as well. So Floyd Mayweather, the most famous boxer of all time, good reason, best defensive fighter on the planet, does the pull counter a lot. So if someone throws a left hook at him, he'll always go here. You'll notice that you'll get that that counterbalance, that counterweight, which pulls him back into his right hand. So notice he does that one a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm practicing that one as well, too.
Cool.
So not just here in pin can with the straight punches, then also you get that feedback, that audible feedback. You don't need a heavy bag, you don't need something to hit, you don't need a partner. That's why I've been really loving these things. I'm proud of that.
Cool.
Knees. Let's throw some knees. So for this one, actually, you just hold it like you would naturally hold it. If you handed this to someone, they're naturally going to hold it like this. Maybe more of that is totally fine. And I know you guys will teach this type of knee.
Yeah, because we're trying to take advantage of that full spiral, right? That you're talking about, but maybe not advantageous for the actual.
Well, not that it's not advantageous for movement, maximizing your movement, but what I really like when thinking about fighting is manipulating my opponent. So when I throw knees, if you don't mind, if you are in a fight stance. So I'm either going to grab forearms or crown of the head and pull you into it. So I go up with my arms and I can pull down on your hands and pull down, or one hand can grab the back of the head. So I go up, bang, for that knee to the face or to the solar plexus, to the body. So you get that instant feedback, that audible feedback when you hold the okay, or if you just hold it how you're naturally going to hold it. Comes up overhead and then you'll get that.
All right, I see you. Creating that advantage, that contact point, nice. Pull through. All right. Now, what I'm noticing too when I see that, because I'm a lover of movement, I'm seeing that beautiful side bend, that commitment to the side. And we're super honed to that right now too, with maybe even doing more than normal, which would be cool.
Warmed up, loose.
So.
And just more in tune with it, more educated, like you said, educate that side.
That's the whole point, right? Educate it, apply it.
Cool. And something that we said off camera, and I just wanted to mention here was, you talked about sticking it. Like knowing what the end position is going to be, and that's all you think about when the movement will just happen, and you'll get there. Like there's ways of optimizing it, but knowing where your end position is going to be, the finish line. It's here is something that's huge in martial arts for kicking, but I've adopted it into boxing too, where I think about when if I'm shadowboxing and there's a cameraman and he's taking a picture, I want him to get at the perfect full extension when the punch lands. So I think about that's my end result, and then of course I gotta have a quick retraction, so I'm not done here, and I want to minimize that stick. But those two words, stick it, have been huge for me. When I think about throwing punches, I go bang and back, and this is slow motion, right?
Of course.
I'm not gonna hang out here because now I'm exposed to get hit. But I do want that max impact. I want the full extension, and this is where my mind is thinking before I get back to guard. So if I speed it up now. And I can flick it. It doesn't have to have that strong impact. It can be something like a towel whip. But if I do want to step in, I really want to connect hard, then I stick it.
That's what I've been really loving with these, is I think they give you that opportunity to stick it where you want to stick. Like, stick it at the event that you want to create. Which typically is going to be that full range, that full understanding of it, but obviously that's not always what happens when we're going to punch somebody either, right? Like, it might get close, but that's still an event. Everything still needs to stick and still align, I think, to put less wear and tear on your body, right?
And many people will think speed, and they'll shorten the movement in half, and they're like, I threw a punch twice as fast doing that, but you're not getting the range. You're not hitting anyone with a punch like that. So if you know what your end result is,
you'll go through.
You're gonna get the proper form on it. So another thing with the coiling that it popped in my head while you're teaching this to me is sidekicks is sort of my thing, right? Throwing the sidekick. Sidekicks don't work, but I teach them anyway. So is the chamber. And what I notice is when a lot of people throw a sidekick, very common in Muay Thai or in MMA, they throw it. Usually it's a traditional kick like karate, taekwondo. But Muay Thai guys don't throw it a lot. Usually the only time they throw it is after missing a roundhouse kick, and then they throw it as a recovery kick.
Sure.
But the one problem, the major problem that I see that everyone has, is they don't engage the side body. And they'll come here, and they lean away from it.
Sure.
And what I dislike about that the most is you're in a bad position after that kick. If I'm here, it's really hard for me to get back to here. Whereas if I'm here, I'm right back in the front.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Right? So
you were calling this a high chamber, is what you were calling it?
Yeah, high chamber, right? Because I could also do a chamber this way for like a back kick or again a side kick. But I really like this one. It's like that Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yes, I know. That's what I always envision about it. They're like blades, right?
Yeah, exactly. But the more control that I have here, bringing this knee up, now I can really dictate where that heel.
What are we feeling right now?
Yeah,
exactly, right? Yeah,
and that's,
you know where you need to be, right? You're sticking it right now. Yeah.
From the very first exercise, this here, pulling the blades, right? Pulling the elbows apart, I feel it in that side body so much. So even just educating that part of the body, now people think about like the core, and it's just like, it's this. But they don't think about each individual part. But once you start doing this drill, you're gonna naturally be here, so you do it on a wall first. Because you're naturally going to be like this.
Yeah.
So now you try to use less of your arm and more of that.
Closing that gap, that shoulder getting to that hip. That's all we're doing. That's what we're saying this time. But that's rotation does. It's that perfect blend of twist but up down.
And I'm so much more balanced.
Yep.
If I'm here, now I'm trying to catch myself. I'm trying to, my head's that way. I'm trying to use my leg to keep myself up. But if I'm coiled, head over the foot, I'm good here. And now I can decide where this leg goes.
Yep. The control, but also the ability to express it. So once you have it, that's what I think of as the actual kick. It's like finishing it out. Like you can kick through it. This guy came in and we can sort of create an event, an opportunity to practice.
Yeah. Up.
Yeah.
And you get that feedback.
Yeah.
Or this way.
Yeah. The steering, all that stuff. Yeah. We're going as simple as fundamentals like going over gait and human locomotion. It's sort of something we all have in common that I think we can all kind of relate to, right? It's something we can stick to, but fight becomes more complex. And every fighter I've been talking to is all this stuff, like, oh no, I could do a different variation here, and they're giving me all this stuff that can happen. And it's right, and it's all true, it's all right. There's a lot of complexity, that's why there's a lot of styles, that's why there's a lot of different techniques, things like that. But we're gonna look at, again, I'm gonna immediately, with my mindset, gonna look at core function and say that there's only a certain amount of possibilities probably that can happen.
Yes.
And if we can learn and manipulate that as a fighter and understand it, we can take that information and we can sort of solve some of the puzzle of what could happen or can't happen in certain situations, and I'm able to read my opponent or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and even just the more that you explore your own body, the more you're going to see in your opponent. What they have available in a certain position, what they can throw from here and what they can't throw from here.
Yeah.
Right? They're not going to throw a left kick from here because all the weight's on that leg.
Yeah, exactly.
They have to shift, they have to move before that they can lift that leg up and fire off that kick. And also what we learned was by identifying it in ourselves, we start to see the openings on other guys. If guys really are compressing over here, now we're going to start to see that open side, and it's just going to give us more availability and the sight to see it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a testament to that because I had nothing to do with understanding fight and all that. Like, it wasn't my background, but I feel like I've moved my body this way enough now too and understood this stuff that I can look at anybody and I can sort of decide and understand. It gives at least a general idea.
He was mimicking Connor.
Yeah, like I told you, he's kind of tall and he's in the last a little more. Whereas some guys, like we were talking about, like Tyson is forward and he's like rolling in the front side of his body and maybe even quickly turning into the lats and things like that.
I like that. Yeah, he's in his lats more.
That's where he's tall and he can bounce a little more. It feels really effortless and free and he can jolt. He moves around like David. Bouncing around all the time, but yeah, cool. Awesome, man. So, dude, I'm loving the feedback you're giving us.
All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and I just want to give a big thank you to all of the guys over at WeckLab, David, Chris, Marty, and everyone else. I truly appreciate your knowledge and your time. I had a blast training with you guys, and I will definitely be back very soon. But we're going to be back on the road, so expect more videos of us traveling in the van and some more high-level concepts when it comes to human movement and martial arts. Until next time, I'm Shane with fightTIPS for the underdogs.
Oh.